One, and we are recording with Dr. Am I recording on this one? Yeah, with Dr. Alejandro Diaz. Please introduce yourself, my man. You've been on here once before, and obviously this is episode 2. Please introduce yourself for all the new listeners.
Tommy, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure always to be with you. I'm Dr. Alejandro Diaz. I go by Alex Diaz, the short version. I'm a pediatrician, allergist, immunologist, trained in GI, pediatrics as well, and did a lot of global health training. I used to be a panel physician for 13 years for the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the United Kingdom, doing immigration work. And it was a fantastic journey during that time. Had the opportunity to travel virtually all over the world and learn so many things from beautiful people.
So could you go into the I guess is it the correct term, the adolescent pediatric outbreak? Or not, excuse me, the adolescent hepatitis outbreak?
Yes, Tommy, this is something that it's very, the scientific community, we are very worried worldwide because we starting to see last October, beginning of last November of 2021, the very first few cases of acute hepatitis in children of unknown origin in Scotland. The very first cases were in Scotland, and then so pediatricians there, they couldn't figure it out. They thought it was just an acute regular hepatitis, and we will go through the signs and symptoms of that, and obviously definition of what hepatitis is. But then all of a sudden it shifted to New England, I mean, specifically London, and then Wales and Northern Ireland. So because they're part of the Commonwealth, so they started to communicate among themselves, and they started to see that it was a pattern. It was a very specific pattern of kids between 1 month old and 16 years old. And they started to see that, these kids, they were perfectly healthy, no disease of any kind, growing well, feeding well, everything good, but they starting presenting these signs and symptoms. And I'm going to go through that. So basically, hepatitis, it's an inflammation of the liver. It can have specifically 4 different causes of hepatitis. One is contagious hepatitis, which is by the hepatitis viruses, that they go from A, B, C, D, and E. Obviously, there are some other microorganisms, including some other viruses and bacteria, that they can cause inflammation of the liver, but they are very, not very common. The most common is contagious or infectious causes by those viruses from A to B, A to E, and then autoimmune hepatitis, number 2. Number 3, toxic hepatitis, that it can be produced by toxins, by medications, drugs, etc. Number 4 is what we call genetic or enzymatic, when the enzymes of the liver don't work properly, you can have inflammation of the liver and liver failure. Obviously, anatomic problems like, what we call biliary atresia. So there's no well development of the bile ducts during the embryonic phase. And these kids, they started to have problems since day 1, day 2, first week. First month, they starting to develop vomiting, and they cannot retain food and so on. But they started to see that neither of these kids, they were presented with these 4 conditions. These were 4 variables of hepatitis. There was not known cause of this, and then it virtually, went all over Europe. So right now, on May 17th, we have 450 cases, Tommy. Can you believe that? We have 450 cases worldwide in 14 countries of Europe. We have in Japan, South Korea, Indonesia, Singapore, Argentina, Panama, Mexico, and obviously Canada and the United States. So just to put it in perspective, about 17 days ago, 15 to 17 days ago, there were only 11 cases reported in the United States. It's important to mention that pretty much about the same time, early November last year, the first cases presented in the state of Alabama at the Children's Hospital there with 4 cases in children's. They couldn't figure it out what kind of hepatitis was, but they were not communicating with the New England, well, with the United Kingdom, and so they didn't know exactly. But on April 5th, now the medical community and the scientific community is starting to exchange information through the European Control and Prevention of Disease, the CDC, WHO, Pan American Health Organization, and all these health organizations. They started to communicate saying, hey, we're starting to see kids here that we don't know what's going on. Oh, we have another case here, we have another case here. And this is a unknown enemy. We don't know if it's contagious. We don't know exactly what is causing it. So we have to be not only worried about this, but we have to be occupied trying to first identify these kids as early as we can. What are the signs and symptoms of hepatitis? Okay, so we're going to look for kids between 1 month old and 16 years old, but the vast majority of cases worldwide are below 5 years. And the mode or the media of age group, it's between 1 year and a half and 2 years and a half. Okay, signs and symptoms, Tommy, that all parents, teachers, caregivers, pediatricians, and primary care physicians, we need to look for: abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, lack of appetite, fever, diarrhea, what we call jaundice, which is a yellowish skin coloration, and yellowish of the eyes, of the sclera, headache. The kid, they don't feel well at all, and they don't look well. The urine, it's very dark, and the stools are pallid or white. If we see those signs and symptoms, the early the better. We run and we go to see the pediatrician, because this is something extremely serious. So coming back to the US, first cases in Alabama, 17 days ago, 11 cases. Alabama, North Carolina, Illinois, and Wisconsin. Now, and 11 cases in these 4 states. Now, more than 110 cases in more than 25 states of the United States, including Puerto Rico. So this is alarming. We have to take care of the kids, and we have to do the right thing. Pediatricians, healthcare of the public sector, of the private sector, and we need to increase awareness to be very careful about, watchful about the signs and symptoms, so we can send the kids early on to the hospital, to the emergency care, or to the pediatrician.
So I guess there's, in my limited knowledge, I would look at it in 2 ways: is it's either contagious, in which case it would obey like exponential growth rules, or is it something like, on a sunny day, if 1,000 people get sunburns that maybe normally wouldn't, you wouldn't say it was a contagious sunburn. You'd say the environment shifted, and that was a kind of a shifted variable. Is this something that is contagious, or is there some shifting in the infinite variables, the quality of water, the quality of air, the plastics in food, the vaccines, the whatever? Which one do you think it is? Is it contagious, or is it coming from a shifting environment?
That's a fantastic question, Tommy. That's a fantastic question. Let me tell you what we know right now. And it's important to mention to you and the audience that I've been talking to a lot of doctors worldwide. I have a very broad, network of doctors virtually all over the world, because remember that I used to be a panel physician, so I know doctors in all continents and many countries. So we're tracking all the cases virtually hour by hour. And at this point in time, Tommy, we don't know. We don't know if it's contagious. It doesn't look contagious. Why? It doesn't look contagious because we haven't seen outbreaks like in households. We haven't seen outbreaks in schools. We haven't seen outbreaks in hospitals or in kindergartens, childcare, and here and there. There's no relationship between a kid from Wales and a kid from Argentina and a kid from Israel. There's no correlation. So there are a couple of hypotheses right now. Number one is that some of the kids that they studied, they found an adenovirus. And let me go what an adenovirus is. So they found on the oral mucosa and the nasal mucosa, they found the presence of adenovirus strain 41. There are 50 strains of adenovirus, and adenovirus, Tommy, is a very common virus in kids. We see it all the time, but it causes just very mild signs and symptoms of GI, respiratory, and conjunctivitis. We never see hepatitis with adenovirus, but there are some agencies that they're starting to link the presence of adenovirus with this rare form and mysterious form of hepatitis. To be honest, I don't think there's a correlation at this point in time with my experience, but every hypothesis right now has to be on the table. That's number one. Number two, there are some agencies as well that they're starting to link with animals, with dogs. Can you believe that? If we made a survey, there are millions and millions of households and babies that they have dogs for years, for centuries, for whatever. And that's true. And that's the same for adenovirus. So I don't think that's correct at this moment. The third theory is what they call a super antigen. And what is a super antigen? When two viruses combine, number one, adenovirus and SARS-CoV-2, the causant agent of COVID-19. So they're starting to believe that potentially this combination of viruses create a super antigen that is creating specific antibodies, and those antibodies are going specific to the liver. I don't know if I don't know exactly what's going on. The fourth theory, and what I believe it's potentially, and I'm saying potentially the most accurate at this time, is vaccine. The COVID vaccine, there are some studies, there are some research papers by very important colleagues that they're saying that the vaccine has been for specifically adults that they have been heavily vaccinated with 3 or 4 or more shots. They've been expelling or expulsing the vaccine through the airway or the GI tract, and then the kids, they're ingesting or inhaling that specific antibody, and it's going to the liver. To be honest, out of the 4 theories that they are talking about, these agencies, probably I will stick to the last one. But it's not me saying that, it's what I believe right now.
Well, sure. And like all science, it's always a running hypothesis. It's no one knows what it is. And I've been talking about that for the last 2 years. That's what got me permanently banned from YouTube but that's all science is. And you have to look at everything and go, what is the most reasonable hypothesis? Now, is that that the one you're leaning towards more? And I think you said it is. And so, sorry, I meant to ask, what is the one that most physicians are leaning towards, or is there no really consensus? Is there no majority position right now?
That's exactly right. There's no majority position right now. There's a lot of confusion. There's one group is saying this, another group is saying this. It's a lot of people making opinions. And so what I've been doing is I'm talking to a lot of colleagues in many, many countries to try to track day by day, hour by hour, these cases, to try to find out if there's a correlation, if there's something. I mean, like you said it at the beginning of the conversation, Tommy, you're right. There are many possibilities.
Sure.
It can be virtually. We can go from water to air to baby formula to anything you can imagine.
Whatever. Yeah.
Anything under the sun, exactly. So there's a lot of confusion. I think it's too early to come with a specific conclusion. We need to keep moving and keep searching for an answer. So one of the other things that it's important to mention is that, unfortunately, out of these 450 cases worldwide in 22 countries, including now Latin America, there unfortunately 11 kids died of this severe acute hepatitis of unknown origin. 5 in the United States, 5 in Indonesia, 1 in Palestine. Unfortunately as well, 20 kids out of these 450, they have to undergo to a liver transplant. Jesus. This is very aggressive, and this is tough news, Tommy. This was difficult. I have 4 boys. They're a little bit older than the age range, but I have a lot of patience. And we're talking about the kids of the world. That they mean the present and the future of our society.
Could you maybe put it into perspective for me how common, I guess, hepatitis is in kids? Because I don't want to be, I don't want, it's like if someone said there's been somebody, so today's Tuesday, somebody said, it's only Tuesday and there's already been 100 or 200 automobile deaths in the United States. Well, there's 2 automobile deaths per state per day. And so, yes, that doesn't make light of the 100 deaths, but you have to zoom out and go, there's 36,500 auto fatalities a year in the United States. It doesn't make it any less worse, but put it in perspective, and it's been every year for decades and decades. Could you maybe put this in perspective? Or is this, if someone says there's been 2 plane crashes and it's Tuesday, you go, wait, hold on. No. We don't have that many plane crashes. So could you maybe, just for the sake of playing all sides, could you put it in context?
Yes, Tommy. So hepatitis, it's very common. It's very common worldwide. There's nothing to worry about. Those 4 categories of hepatitis, or those etiologies of hepatitis that I just mentioned at the beginning of our conversation. But what is worry to a lot of the scientific community is that they don't fit in any of these 4. So if it's one of these 4 categories, it's okay. I mean, we have statistics. We know, and we expect certain amount of kids, preschool, school age, and adolescents kids to present with hepatitis, specifically A, and some of them B, very, very seldom C, D, and E. Those are more adult. But this is totally out of the charts. This is different. We're dealing with a different enemy. And as a pediatrician, as an immunologist, as a father of 4, and a doctor that takes care of children, oh my God, this is something that we really need to do something about it, and start to look for answers at this moment. There are millions, Tommy, millions of cases year round. worldwide of hepatitis of different types, this 4 categories. But this is different. We're talking about a different thing.
Why is it so different?
It is different because there is not a cause.
Okay.
It's not hepatitis A, B, C, D, E. It's not autoimmune. It's not genetic. It's not anatomic.
Okay.
And it's not toxic. So they haven't been, when they take the liver, the failure liver out, and the pathologists, they look to the microscope and they make their specific stains and so on and so forth and preparations. The pattern, obviously, yes, it's liver failure, but they don't have anything to say, oh, there it is this or is that. There's nothing, not even on blood, blood tests or histopathology. There's nothing. So it's like, what are we dealing with, Tommy? This is something we haven't seen this ever. Okay. I can tell you that.
Okay. Do you think, and this is speculation, is it that there's no majority position, or is there a hesitance of physicians to say it's COVID vax related because, COVID vaccine is radioactive. If you touch it, you're ostracized. You're an anti-vaxxer, you're anti-science. Like me, I get banned from YouTube. Do you think there's a component of maybe we're not getting an accurate representation of how many physicians suspect that because they don't want to voice it, or is that nonsense?
Oh my God, Tommy, that's one of the toughest questions, and it's very hard to say. It's very difficult to say. I need to be extremely responsible.
Yeah,
you have a lot of viewers, you have a lot of people that follow you, and I'm just a doctor. I'm just a doctor who's trying to do something right for humanity, to try to do things right for my patients and for kids out there. And anything that I can do, Tommy, to help them, I will do it. And so I'm putting my work and my time and my knowledge to try to reach and look for answers.
Is there any evidence? Does the growth rate, or I guess the growth models of it, does that help lend or shed any light on the nature of the hepatitis? Like, again, is it a linear growth? Is it exponential? Or is it on different latitudes and longitudes? Is it first world versus third world? I mean, are there any clues of a pattern or anything?
There's no clue. I mean, there's no clue of anything right now. This is a bizarre behavior.
It's a lottery.
Very bizarre behavior because it's not a first world or underdeveloped world thing. Like, for example, we haven't seen anything in India. We haven't seen anything in Bangladesh, in Pakistan, in Iran. We haven't seen anything there, but we have seen in Japan. We haven't seen it in Germany, United Kingdom, the US, Canada, France, Italy. I mean, those are developed countries, but we also have seen this in underdeveloped countries, some of them, not many, like Palestine. And so there's no pattern. So it turns us crazy a little bit because, in medicine, you went to medical school, so you understand this.
I got in. I got accepted.
Oh, you got in.
I didn't go.
That's good enough. That's good. It's hard to get in.
It's hard to get in, but I do not have an MD. I have a biology degree. Just full clarification.
Okay. So in medicine, doctors, first of all, Tommy, doctors, we don't talk narratives. We don't tell stories. We talk facts. And facts are from statistics, from medical history, from things that we see, we can touch, we can define, and we can make diagnosis. And there's no pattern. There's no pattern that we can say, well, we had an outbreak here, we have this here, here's the pattern, we can make these conclusions. Right now, this is an invisible enemy.
Are the methods of treatment working the same? Like you said, there's, A, B, C, D, E. Are the methods of treatment working, or are there no treatments either?
There is, when you don't know the enemy,
Yeah,
Tommy, it's very difficult, but that's a very important question. Let me expand a little bit on that. So for example, when you have infectious hepatitis with one of the 5 most common hepatitis viruses, most of the time, specifically with A and B, more with A, the treatment is supportive care. Fever, something for the fever. Pain, something for the pain. Vomiting, something for the vomiting. Dehydration, IV line here and there. So it's supportive. It appears that with this type of hepatitis, when they don't go obviously to liver failure or something, worse than that, it's supportive care right now. And it seems that it's working because, out of 450, most of them, thank God, they're recovering. Most of them. So I think that is a group that, out of bad news, it's a good news.
So then, are these cases going around worldwide purely in adolescents, or are they happening with adults as well, but are they just getting brushed under the rug, or is this specifically children?
It's specifically children, and the most common age group, it's between 1.5 years old and 2.5 years. So basically in that age range group.
So what needs to be done to figure it out then? So if it's like understood that they don't know what it is, they don't know what the causation is, there's no real patterns, like, well, that's every new disease, and that's we haven't figured it out yet. Yeah, we haven't figured it out yet. And then you develop penicillin, or then you develop sterilization, and then you develop anesthesia. Like, we don't know it yet. And then you get to, like, one day there will be a cure for cancer. Like we will get to it. It's heavier than flight, or heavier than air flight. Eventually, the Wright brothers figured it out. It took humanity like 10,000 years, but eventually we figured it out. What needs to be done to figure this out? Yeah, and what needs to be done to how do you just throw money at it? Do you have to wait until, like, a billionaire's son gets hepatitis and then it's going to be cured? Like, what is it?
Unfortunately, that's another interesting question, Tommy. And just to go through the aviation thing, and you said it right, the Wright brothers in Carolina, but it was not even the Wright brothers who actually discovered what was the technique to lift the plane. It was
Da Vinci.
Bernoulli.
Oh, Bernoulli's principle.
Yeah. It was Bernoulli's principle, who, the shape of the wing,
the pressure, and
he can lift, but it's exactly the same. That's exactly the same that we have to figure it out with this.
Yeah.
And it takes time. It takes time.
Didn't Da Vinci have a schematic for like a helicopter or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that man was.
That guy was ridiculous.
He was living in the future, man.
Yeah, people were wiping their asses with their hands, and he was developing helicopter. He must have been so just angry on a day-to-day basis, just walking around, just like he must feel like Elon Musk. Just like, I'm surrounded by a bunch of dumb apes. That's probably what But the point is eventually it gets figured out. So, I mean, and then now, I guess, are we leaving maybe the niche of medicine? Is it now getting into like business and economics? Like, there are a lot of diseases, there are, you can get allergy medication cheap because there's a huge market for it. That's the sad truth. Is, sure, in an ideal utopia, we'd treat everybody. But if you've got a disease that only 5 people in the world gets, Pfizer's not going to throw $1 billion at it. There's something with that.
That is the inconvenient truth, Tommy. You hit it right. That's what we have dealt with for so many years. We're still learning, and responsible physicians, that we really care about people, and we devoted our lives to help them. we think that way, that we have to find better ways, better techniques, based on nutrition, supplements, exercise, vitamin D, sunlight, sleep well, and so many things that you can do to have a better health. So it's like more health-based care than sick care based.
So what else about this can you touch on? Because as you can see, my knowledge of this is very limited, and I'm doing my best to conjure up pertinent questions. What have I not touched on that you want to touch on?
Uh, what can I say, Tommy? I can say that personally, I am very worried, and I don't think we have communicate enough this, either on social media, on newspapers, on whatever media there are out there, to increase the awareness of this thing, not to scare people, no, to increase the awareness, to try to act as fast as we can. We need to save lives. That's exactly what we have to do. And, that's my mission. And if I can do anything I can do to help with this, that's what I'm doing. And I've been doing this for 27 days. When I first noticed that it was something going on different, of a different pattern, and I start to make calls everywhere and to find, and I can tell you, I actually made the first diagnosis of acute hepatitis in Mexico.
Really?
The first, yeah. Fortunately enough, this 6-year-old kid from my hometown in Mexico, it's a border town with El Paso, Texas. He underwent to a liver transplant in the Children's Phoenix, Arizona, and he's doing very well. He's doing very well, thank God. But it was very difficult. It was very difficult, and I don't think that the average pediatrician right now, this moment, 17th of May, I don't think they're aware that this is going on. So we need more awareness, more people like yourself that get a lot of viewers, and to start spreading the information. So primary care docs and physicians, the pediatricians and so on and so forth, from rural areas, from everywhere, to reach out everybody, so we can understand exactly signs, symptoms, and at least what will be the first things to do. Well, the first things to do is to look for those things. Whenever we find out that, go immediately to the ER, talk to your pediatrician, talk to your PCP, and so on and so forth, to try to do something quick.
So I guess it's like early COVID, like early 2020. Still didn't know what it was. So it's not sequenced. There's no vaccine, which the vaccine didn't work. But at the time, it's still like we don't know what's going on. And then you have guys like Dr. McCullough or Fareed or Urso or Merrick or whatever, who, one of the things they rail against now is like, no, we didn't know what to do. But one thing we knew you weren't supposed to do was say, go home and come back in 2 weeks when your lips are blue and you can't breathe. There are like kind of the basic things that even someone like me could figure it out. Like, take some vitamin C, maybe don't exercise, get a ton of sleep, drink a ton of water, whatever. If you have a fever, use an ice pack. If you're cold, get under a blanket, like simple shit. But like, excuse me, is this something where there's early treatment analogous to like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin? Are there off-label uses for things right now where it doesn't matter if we don't know the causes or we don't have the exact genome of it, we can still kind of just beat it down if you catch it early? Does that apply here as well, where no, we don't know what it is, maybe we'll know later this year, maybe we'll know in 5 years, but if you go to the hospital and they give you intravenous X, Y, and Z, you can still knock it down?
The only thing that I can tell you, Tommy, right now, it's precautions like washing the caregiver's hands very, very well with soap and water. The same for the kids, and just wash their food as best as they can do that. Don't drink water from, tap water, preferably. We don't know if it's on the water, but I will do that because we don't know exactly where it's
Yeah,
coming from.
you don't know.
So we have to do like general measures of hygiene, basically. But this is not the time to panic. This is not the time because we have seen this movie before.
Yeah.
And we're just coming out from one of the worst
Yeah.
pandemics ever in the history of humanity. And it hit us hard. It hit us hard in all aspects. So we have seen this movie before. We have to be very cautious, very, act on faith, not on fear. And just be ready and do those kind of things, very increase hygiene, basically. Increase hygiene. I don't think there's obviously there's no treatment right now as like a specific treatment or a specific pill or a specific IV or a specific medication. I'm not aware of that. And I don't think there's something right now, probably tomorrow or the day after, but right now, nothing. So the states in the US that fortunately enough, they haven't shown any cases. It's the state of Mississippi, Virginia, Rhode Island, Maine, Vermont, Montana, Nevada, Oregon, Utah, and Wyoming. They haven't reported in Oklahoma. They haven't reported not a single case, thank God. And we're hoping to get less cases instead of more cases. Unfortunately, Tommy, and I have to say this, what we call the natural history of disease, even though we don't know the enemy, but we do understand the natural history of disease is that, unfortunately, I really think we're going to have more and more and more cases.
Do you think that, and not to fall into the same fear mongering that allowed the COVID paranoia to tear through the world, is there a chance that they're just not being reported? Maybe people don't know what they are. I mean, there's always statistically a chance of that. But I mean, could it be that we only think there's 450 cases in the world because it's not a thing? We normally know, what is it, hepatitis A, B, C, D, E. So they're looking at this and going, well, it's not one of the normal hepatitis, so it can't be that. Maybe the kid's just sick. Maybe what, autoimmune, who knows? Is there a chance that there's like 10 times as many? Or is this something so specific? Like COVID's very similar to just, your seasonal flu. My sinuses hurt, my throat hurts, I'm coughing, I'm tired. That's understandable where it can be glossed over. But, children getting hepatitis isn't as easily glossed over. Do you think there's a chance of that? Is it much more prevalent in the United States, or is it probably within like a statistically acceptable margin of error?
I mean, you hit it right. You hit it right on the spot. And I've been thinking about that. I really think that right now, worldwide, there's a huge underdiagnosed cases, underdiagnosed. So unfortunately, I know that there must be a lot of cases out there that they don't know what's going on. And I'm going to share with you something very interesting. I was talking to a friend, probably one of the best pediatric surgeons in Mexico. This guy is amazing. He, oh my God, he's been written books and he's a teacher and he's very young. He's very, very young. And I was talking to him and I told him, hey, have you seen any patients with this and that? And then, so I start to increase. As a matter of fact, I was in Oklahoma last week and I called him from there because I was very worried about this. And he's in Monterrey, Mexico. But this guy is a top-notch pediatric surgeon. But he said, Alex, now that you're saying that, I just operate on a 7-month-old girl for intussusception, which when the small intestine just gets into their own intestine. It's a lot of pain, it's vomiting, it's kind of common. And so he was operating on her, but he said something that it really worries me a lot. this guy, he makes like 10 or 15 operations a day. This is like a superstar guy. No, he's busy, man. But he says, now that you're saying that, Alex, I was operating on this 7-month girl, but I kind of, because he was in the middle of the digestive system. But when you're opening and you're manipulating, you can see some other organs, even though you're not focused on that because that's not your target. But he was here and he told me, I've noticed a very bizarre morphology of the liver and a very bizarre color. But I'm so busy, Alex, and I'm
he's just going through.
But now that you're saying that, oh my God, he says, oh my God, and then we're starting to create this we're starting to create this it's not a theory yet, but this thing that, okay, so why don't you talk to all of your pediatric surgeons in Monterrey? Call them, send them an email, and tell them, when you operate kids, for whatever reason that is on the digestive system, just look for the liver. Just take a look. If you see something, why don't you call the pathologist? Why don't you call something and make a biopsy, obviously with informed consent? Because, and he was like, Alex, you're right. I think we should do that. Obviously, you need to go to many layers of bureaucracy and this and that. But clinicians, we do that all the time. We see things.
Now, is there a problem with the power of suggestion, where you would be like, hey, have you noticed anything wrong with the liver? Is it yellow? And people start looking for yellow, or do you have to kind of put it out more vaguely, like just look at the liver?
You know what, Tommy? The I don't know if you have ever been in an operating room and being in operation, watching or assisting a doctor.
Yeah.
But the liver, all organs and systems, obviously, but the liver has this beautiful, specific, bright, amazing color.
Okay.
It never change. It only change when it's sick.
Gotcha.
So
okay. So it'd be very clear.
Yeah, so it will be very, very clear. But he told me, oh, Alex, now that you're saying that, and it was very rare and it was very this and that, but I couldn't make the connection. But now that you're saying this, I'm going to look for it.
Yeah, that'd be like,
we encourage to all pediatric surgeons who might see your show, that I think there will be a lot of people. Just look. You don't have to do nothing fancy.
Yeah.
Just look, observe. That's it.
Yeah.
Probably you will be able to see something different, and then we can look for more things, and we can have more cases, and we can diagnose earlier, and we can treat better, and we can find the cause. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be like if my eyes weren't blue during a podcast. You'd be like, yeah, there's something up.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not that they're a different shade of blue. If all of a sudden they're green, it'd be like, yeah, something's wrong. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
I got it. Hey, Dr. Diaz, can you take control of the show for a minute? I got to use the restroom.
I'll do it.
All right. Welcome to the Dr. Diaz podcast.
Thank you so much, everybody. And it's a pleasure to be here with Tommy, and it's a pleasure to be here with you. And so we're talking about different things. I'm a pediatrician, allergist, immunologist. I did training on pediatrics GI in Belgium. And I've been a panel physician and global health specialist for quite a bit, doing immigration medicine for different countries. And so we're addressing this mysterious and complicated and severe hepatitis in kids that we're looking in more than 22 countries in the world. And it's been for just not more than 5 months now. So it started in November of last year, 2021. Started it in Scotia, and then it came to all over the United Kingdom. Now it's in 14 countries in Europe. It's in different countries in South America. It's in Asia. We haven't seen anything in Australia and New Zealand. We haven't seen any cases in India or Africa, but we have seen many, many cases in the US, in Canada, now in Mexico. So it's something that we really need to look for.
Thank you.
There's the main man right there.
I'm back. Now, do you think that this is part of it? You said that this, not as many people. Is there anyone like running point on this? Is there, like the CDC or the FDA or the World Health Organization, for all of their flaws, at least they identified that COVID was a thing, and they started keeping an eye out and testing and tracking and doing, population, I guess, whatever, epidemiology. Is there anyone taking charge of this, or right now is it just some guys like you piecing things together? Is there any organization or agency, I guess, taking control of the fight against this, or is this something where it's not big enough yet to where there's a coordinated response to it?
One thing, Tommy, I don't think somebody is leading this coordination work, but I know that the CDC, WHO, and the European Center for Control, Prevention, and Disease, based in Stockholm, Sweden, they're looking at this, they're investigating, and they're doing work about this. And one of the most common theories for them, it's the adenovirus thing. But I really think that there are a lot of physicians, a lot of pediatricians and doctors out there like myself, that we are looking for answers, and we're putting our work to try to find the cause. But I think this is a matter of collaboration. This is not a one-man show. This is something that we have to come together, share information, think out of the box, and try to help as much as we can.
Do you have any like repository of knowledge? I mean, like, for lack of a better and more professional term, is there just like a Google Docs or something that doctors from around the world can report? Just, I don't know, like you said, like pediatric surgeons, is there a place where, hey, if you've seen something up with the liver, maybe just make a note of it just so you could have statistics and start looking into it? Is there some sort of place where all the minds can meet, or right now is it you calling a friend and then them emailing a friend? Is it kind of, that's where it is right now?
That's what I'm doing right now. I'm calling as many doctors as I can in the world, through my career as a panel physician, that I made a lot of friends worldwide, and they're answering. I was talking to a colleague in Ecuador, and I talked to him, and he told me, well, Alex, let me tell you, I just saw 3 kids with jaundice. And so I was, oh my God, now we have it in Ecuador and everything. And then I said, well, can you run this test and this and that? He says, I'll do it, Alex, I'll do it. But I really think this is something different. And so he was talking about leptospirosis. It's a bacteria, kind of common in certain countries. So he thought that it was that. He ran the test. He just called me and he says, Alex, it was positive. But it's medicine, it's clinics. We have to investigate.
If you wanted, you could get them on here, just so you'd have a central repository. You could just have a series of videos.
Let's do it.
It's up to you. Yeah, just get it on record. I don't care. I think I need you present, because I wouldn't be able to ask pertinent questions. I'd be like, was it smelly? They'd be like, who is this kid? I would need you present. But if you just wanted a place just to literally have it on video and audio.
Oh, definitely. And I really appreciate that. I think that's a fantastic idea, because we have to raise the voice, number one. Number two, we need to increase awareness, and we have to bring as many physicians as we can, so they can, we have more eyes. We need more eyes everywhere.
Well, that's what I mean. And then you could just put them all together, and then you wouldn't have to have you reaching out to every doctor in the world. Then you could just send an email to 1,000 doctors and say, hey,
I have 2 phones. Look, 2
yeah.
phones, and then this phone, and I'm calling everybody, Tommy. But I think with your platform, and I would really definitely get your advice. That's a fantastic idea. And if you're allowed me to do that,
Yeah.
definitely, I will love to do it.
It's like a do-it-yourself video on YouTube. Instead of having to have a friend tell you how to clean your kitchen sink when the pipe gets clogged, instead you can just go find a YouTube video, and maybe it was uploaded yesterday, maybe it was uploaded 10 years ago, but there's a central place where you can go find it. You might be able to get the word out exponentially if you could just say, here's a list of the videos. It's just episode 819, 858, whatever. Just put them all together. You can just have them in one spot, and then that can go take a life of its own.
I love it. I love it, Tommy. Let's do it. Let's do it. I mean, and
Absolutely.
it's a matter of we need a team up.
Yeah.
Team up. That's it. This is not a one-man show. I'm not trying to be a hero. I'm just trying to be a doctor doing his work and just love for humanity. Try to bring the best out of me. Bring more, huddle and bring more people together.
Get the brains together. Yeah, get the brains together.
Yeah.
I'll just sit here and nod. I'll be the only one without a. I'll get a white coat too. I'll throw in.
Definitely.
I'll get a ceremonial white coat. To kind of shift back though, and let me know. I know like I said, I cleared out the next hour for you. Just let me know whenever you got to go, so I don't keep you hostage.
Thank you so much, Tom.
Yeah. But to kind of jump back to your gut feeling of it being vaccine based, do you have any hypothesis on like a mechanism of action, like what it is that would do it? Is something in the mRNA? Is it the nanolipids? Is it the spike proteins? Do you have any running theory on why it would be COVID vaccine based, or is it more so correlation based?
Yes, Tommy. So just to make a clarification, so people can understand it, and so it's not my gut feeling that this is happening, but out of the theories that they are putting out there, I think potentially the most accurate.
Sure.
Because that's a common variable.
Yeah, that's the variable.
Same. That's the variable. Exactly. Everything else is the same.
Yeah.
So now the variable is the vaccine. So potentially, and there are a lot of papers out there. There's a lot of journals. There's a lot of very, very serious scientists that they're putting there, and they're writing up those things. And this is not new. Let me tell you something, Tommy, and to the audience. We have seen this before. We saw this about a couple of decades ago, 30 years ago in Africa and Southeast Asia with polio. It's what we call back in the day a vaccinated disease. So it was like some children that they were getting the polio vaccine, the oral polio vaccine, they were expelling the virus through the feces. So it was a fecal oral kind of contamination with those that they were not vaccinated, and it was a more aggressive virus, and then they were getting the disease. So this is on the textbooks. This is on journals of 30 years ago. This is nothing new. So it's definitely one of the hypotheses that potentially can be, that we need to look a little bit more through to that.
Yeah. Now, have you been able to get in touch with any like specific, I guess, liver experts? Like, I don't know, like, is that even a thing? Like a hepatologist or something?
Oh yeah, there are. Oh yeah,
they exist.
Yes, and they're very good. They're very good. So what they do most of the time, the way to get it to become a hepatologist, you obviously you go to medicine, either pediatrics or internal medicine, and then you do GI tract specialty for 3 or 4 years, and then you do 2 to 3 years of hepatology. So you only see liver diseases. You only see, and I have talked to them, some of them. But sometimes, and I'm not criticizing anybody, but probably I think a little bit different sometimes. But they get too technical. They get extremely technical, and sometimes they, I don't know, no conclusions yet.
They get myopic.
Yeah. Very technical.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes in medicine, you need to think out of the box.
Yeah. Yeah.
Out of the box. Sometimes, not all time, not every time, but sometimes. And I think this is one of the times that we need to think out of the box.
Well, they did that in the Cold War. I mean, JFK brought in McNamara to be Secretary of Defense. He was the CEO of Ford. And then that's not the only example. I didn't know. There was actually a running theme though. Eisenhower brought in the CEO of Chrysler to streamline the missile program. So that's what he said.
Lee Iacocca. It was Iacocca.
I think so.
He was outstanding.
He used
to work for Chrysler and for Ford, and he developed the car industry.
That's impressive that you knew the name. Yeah, that's you get a brownie point. But that was a thing though, where they'd bring him in. They'd be like, why are they using him? Eisenhower was like, we got to get the generals can only see so much. He was like, we got to bring in this guy that builds cars and tell him now you're building nuclear tipped missiles. But it worked. So sometimes you got to come out of that and stream. I mean, I don't know. So what would be how would we think outside of the box on I mean, well, you have me, you have not a doctor, so I can help. But was there a way to go about it? Do you have any like ideas on how you would think outside the box, or is it just kind of we got to figure this thing out as you go?
Well, you know, to think outside of the box is to do things differently sometimes, but also to team up, to bring people, to bring more brains, more eyes, more people to bring their ideas and try to, you know, shuffle them and try to you know, come with the important conclusions. But you have to be committed to sometimes do things differently.
Yeah.
That's the only way we can achieve greater things.
Yeah. So just to kind of to recap for parents or something, again, could you say what these specific things are that, because right, you also don't want to cause like undue fear and just people running to the hospital. My kid has hepatitis and it's like, no, he stubbed his toe. You know, could you maybe it's yellowish skin, yellowish eyes, nausea. Are there what are the other ones?
Okay. So these are what we call the constellation of signs and symptoms: abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, fever, headache, lack of appetite. They feel they feel very tired, very lethargic sometimes, and jaundice, what we call skin, yellowish skin coloration on the skin, on the eyes, dark urine, like cola drink.
Okay.
Very dark, and the feces are pallid or white.
What does pallid mean? Well,
like white, no color. They don't have the typical brown color, light brown or dark brown. It's white, like white.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah. It's incredible. And so look for those signs and symptoms. It doesn't mean that everything that starting with those signs and symptoms will have this, but it's important to keep an eye on it all the time. And at the first changes on those signs and symptoms, immediately just call your pediatrician. Immediately, you know, this and that, come to the ER, and they will start running all the tests and everything. We have to be, you know, we have to move fast.
So as a non-medical professional, I would look at the first handful of those symptoms, and that just seems like any illness: diarrhea, fever, headache, not feeling too hot, don't want to eat. That's me, you know, every other weekend. I just get a bug or something, right? So specifically, it would be jaundice, dark urine, and pallid or white bowel movements.
Correct. And dark urine. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Because
But
you wouldn't have those. It would be a given that if they had you can't have those symptoms and not have a headache and lack of appetite, correct?
okay, that's important. Okay, the thing is that when we started to see, the let's call the liver the laboratory of the body.
Okay.
Everything that happens, pretty much everything that happens in the body, it happens on the liver. All this, it's like a different world. So many things happen in the liver in a given second than what happened in the world. It's incredible how biology works and how grateful and incredible and amazing God to create the body. So it's sometimes you start with the signs and symptoms. It's like the amber or the yellow light that there's something coming. So in this perspective of what we are watching worldwide, I really recommend that if the parents and somebody's starting to see abdominal pain, headache, fever, and nausea, vomiting here and there, don't wait until they're yellow, and to go and run to the pediatrician, because when that is happening, now we have a problem in the liver. It might take 5 to 7 to 8 to 10 days. We don't know. It really depends on the patient and the severity of that specific hepatitis. But on this context that we're talking about, I strongly recommend to look for the initial signs and symptoms.
Are all the 450 cases, are they all vaccinated?
Interesting question, Tommy, again. No. As a matter of fact, the vast majority of the kids, they're not vaccinated. They're not vaccinated because the vast majority of kids, they're between 1.5 years and 2 years old. So by definition, in virtually any country in the world, you don't vaccinate children younger than 5 years. That's potentially why they're not vaccinated.
So wouldn't that kind of spit directly in the face of a theory of them being vaxxed, or of it being vaccine derived?
Well, the thing is that what I try to say, and what it's written on the papers, is that the vaccine from the adults, the caregivers.
Oh yeah, no, you said that the respiratory. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, that one in one ear, not the other. Yeah, as you can tell, you're the one with the white coat, not me. I'm sitting here, Dr. Tommy, just bullshitting my way through life.
No, but all those are very important questions, and it's important to put everything out, every single dot and every single point specifically. So it's important, because people they have to understand the best they can, and we have to explain the best we can.
Yeah, we
need more doctors, Tommy. We need more doctors on board in your program. We need more immunologists, hepatologists, GI doctors. We need more doctors. I think we have to create like a special session of one of your programs with doctors, because
sure.
Nowadays one of the largest, or one of the biggest learning experience after the pandemic is that the number one commodity in life is not oil, gas, or diamonds, or Bitcoin, but it's health.
Yeah,
it's health. Number one commodity in the world. You don't have health, Tommy, forget about Bitcoin, forget about oil, gas, and diamonds. There you go.
Doesn't matter.
That's exactly right.
To just kind of touch on one more time, because I forgot the growth model of this. When did you say the first, in today's Tuesday, May 17th, 2022? When did you say the first case was?
The first case was reported in Scotland on the last week of October 2021.
Okay.
pretty much by the same time, beginning of November, it was reported that first few cases in Alabama at the Children's Hospital there, starting with 4 cases and then 5 and then 9 cases, and then the other states that I mentioned. Now there are 25 states in the US and territories, including Puerto Rico, with more than 110 cases right now.
So is it going up exponentially, or are people looking for it now? Is it following a model of it's growing? Like if you look at like the COVID cases, like there's 1,000 US COVID cases, there's 10,000, 100,000, there's 100,000 a day, and you can see how it tears through a population. Is it growing? And I know I asked this earlier, and I know you don't have the answer, but is it growing in a way indicative of transmissibility to one another, or is this something where people are just starting to kind of look for it now and they're starting to uncover the cases?
It is definitely increasing, alarming in terms of numbers worldwide. There is no record, there is no information to say that is transmissible, because there's no correlation between kids. There's no correlation between cases, but it's growing. And I think one of our, now I'm including you, Tommy, now we're part of the same team. One of our tasks, it's going to be to increase awareness, to bring this to the attention of more people, of more doctors, pediatricians, and so on and so forth, so we can start looking at. And obviously, the more you look, the more you find. That's a rule number 1 in medicine.
Yeah.
And I've learned that when I started to look for tuberculosis in the immigration community. A lot of, there were, back in the day, that you were just a kid. You were just a kid, Tommy. But back in the day when I was doing this, I was talking to many of my colleagues, and they say, "Come on, Alex, tuberculosis? There are no tuberculosis. That disease is gone. It's gone for 100 years." Guess what? It's not true. The more you look, the more you find.
Yeah. And now for some wild speculation. If it turns out this is transmissible, are we going to see like a whole nother global pandemic response? Protect the kids.
Oh my God.
Shut down everything. Are you and I going to be crucified for misinformation? They've already killed my podcast once. They can't kill it again.
Tommy, that will be terrible. Yeah. That will be terrible if it's transmissible. I am praying that it's not, that it's something else. It doesn't seem transmissible at this point in time. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I really pray that this is not transmissible, because if it is, we're dealing with a different thing. This is a different thing.
Or if they find out unequivocally it's from proximity to adults who have been vaccinated, is there going to be separation of kids from parents?
Who knows, Tommy? I'm to be honest, I've been thinking a lot about any possibility, and it's difficult. This is
just
difficult.
Thinking of, you have to put on like your cynicism hat and think about how would governments abuse this, because they do. You could absolutely, we've already seen, let's just look at where we are now. The United States government saying parents showing up to home and school meetings are domestic terrorists. They are not condoning the public or the homeschooling movement, which is going up at greater rates right now than it ever has in U.S. history. There are more kids being homeschooled now than ever before. You start thinking of a power-hungry government hey, we got to put the kids in a special facility away from the parents. Parents are giving them hepatitis. And now, granted, and for full disclosure, this is Tommy Carrigan talking, not Dr. Diaz. This is me with my tinfoil hat on. I don't have a white coat, but I'm just looking at, because we can't be oblivious. We just got out of a pandemic that started as 2 weeks to flatten the curve, don't kill grandma, to now it's, where are your papers? You plague rat, you can't come into society. And it's like, very quickly we see how humans abuse this. They, never let a crisis go to waste. A government, though necessary evil, is still evil. I'm just looking at, and ultimately, I mean, if the science is the science, if kids are getting hepatitis from parents, like, yeah, you have to do something. But I don't know. I'm just more so thinking aloud. How would the government or power hungry people abuse this behind the shield of, it's for your kids' health? We just got through 2 years of don't kill grandma. They might barrel through with don't kill Junior.
This
Again,
is tremendous. It's tremendous, Tommy. I really pray to God that this will end soon. I really do. That's from my spiritual. Spiritual side. From a scientific side, on the other side of the token, and the natural history of disease, I'm guessing that they're coming more and more cases in the coming weeks. They and this is, you can see it on the media. It's all over the media. They asked me on one of the most important radio shows in Mexico. That was 2 weeks ago. No, it was 3 weeks ago. So, Dr. Diaz, what do you think? When do you think that this is coming to Mexico? Do you think it's a possibility? Do you think it's coming? What do you think? And I told him, it's a matter of days, no more than 2 weeks. Boom, 2 weeks exactly. First case. And this is tough. This is difficult. But I think what we are doing right now, this exercise, Tommy, and I really like to congratulate you and thank you for the opportunity to raise the voice and to increase awareness. And I really will take your advice and your recommendation. Let's do it on your platform. Let's bring more doctors. I'm just a channel. I'm just one guy. We need many, as many as we can. Exactly. And I really like to thank you. Right now, Tommy, I need to leave. I have a lot of patients to see, and
I've kept you for an hour and a half
to the hospital and so on and so forth. But Tommy, it's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. I think you're a very intelligent young man, and you have an amazing future ahead of you. And definitely, I'm very happy to be part of that story.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for coming on. And again, just for your sake, all wild speculation is mine and mine alone, not Dr. Diaz. I don't want you to I don't want you to get thrown in with me. That's me speculating. But yeah, man, let's text. Let's start. You start putting the feelers out, getting the doctors, and we can start. I'll give you priority. We'll start racking up the podcast, and we can put them all together, and hopefully something comes of it. And yeah, just do our best to do the right thing. Dr. Diaz, thank you so much for coming on here, sir. I will send you the episode when it's uploaded. It'll be up later this evening.
Brother, thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Man. I love you, Dr. Diaz. God bless. God bless America.